Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 days, a new season that's starting this week. Let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, everything that I say in reaction to these shows is completely speculative, based on very little information. So keep that in mind. Let's watch.
The subconscious mind works in images and symbols. This image is a symbolic representation of the word intention. So it's really easy to have an intention and keep it merely in language, but by drawing an image which represents the intention, we're making the mind much more permeable.
Wow, that was a lot of words that I didn't know what he was. I'm guessing it makes sense to him, but that didn't make. And, you know, who am I to say anything? But, okay. So, one, if he's generalizing it to everyone, which is, I think, maybe where I'm having a problem with it. There's nothing wrong, 1,000,000,000% nothing wrong with him being like, I think in images, and when I draw this image, it helps me. And when I draw my intention, it sometimes helps me. I think what he's saying is, for me to talk about things is one thing. It's another thing to get deeper into, like, what's my path here? What's my goal? What's my inner life telling me? You know, what's going on here? And for me, when I draw pictures, it maybe even kind of randomly, and just see what emerges from me. And there's art therapy, drama therapy techniques that are along these lines. It helps me to express what's going on inside in a more pure way, you know, in a way that words can't really encapsulate. And when I think symbolically and I draw symbolically, I get to a place that feels more congruent with my soul. Totally. That's fine. But the way he's talking, it's like we all, and it sounds a bit Jungian to me. I'm not quite sure, which has never, there's certain parts of Jung that are great, but there's a lot of the way that people talk about Jung, I'm just like, huh? But let's rewind this and hear the way he talks, because I don't know. I'm just curious I just want to break down this statement that he's saying. I'm not ridiculing him. If he just would have taken out the we and just said me, I would have been like, totally makes sense. But I'm also trying to get to understand what he means here, because I think it is something that a psychology podcast could comment on.
Not lightly. So I need to set some positive intentions for a successful trip.
I need to set some positive intentions. So it's like a goal list or something. Like I need to get in line with why I'm doing this, the positive reasons why I'm doing this. Okay.
The subconscious mind works in images and symbols. This image is a symbolic representation of the word intention.
So for him, this image represents the word intention to him. Yeah, absolutely. Do not doubt that. That's great. It is not the symbol of intention for every human being. I hope that, anyway.
It's really easy to have an intention and keep it merely in language, but by drawing an image which represents the intention, we're making the mind much more permeable.
Okay, again, we just take we, just for him. When I draw intention, then I make my mind more permeable. Permeable to what? That was like, when I heard it the first time, I'm like, what's happening? So that's permeable. Now, if I were his friend, I wouldn't care to say anything, but, because he's clearly doing something for himself and he doesn't have to answer anyone. But if we're going to use this show as a jumping off point and we're going to learn about ourselves, and maybe we even do things like this, I think it's important to have some clarity around that. And so the mind could be more permeable. Maybe he'll say permeable to what?
I want to connect with Alina, and this picture holds that meaning to me.
I want to connect with Alina, and this picture represents that for me. Okay. Makes the mind more permeable. Still trying to figure that one out. Is he saying more open to access, maybe open to from the outside. Given what he said earlier, he said that he's never had a significant relationship with someone, and maybe he's battling, and I think he even talked about this urge to not settle down and to not couple. And so he's trying to clarify his intention to be with her, before going. It's like, so if I was to take a guess, I would say he's having worries of like, if I get there, based on the past, I've pushed people away, and I get kind of ambivalent about commitment, and then I push people away. And so I'm about to go to Russia to meet Alina, and I don't want to hurt her feelings, and I want to bond with her, and I don't want to listen to those voices. So I'm going to, draw my intention to be with her, my intention to connect with her, and I want to feel it, and I want to reorient myself around that. That sounds like what he's saying.
So the focus that I'm creating here will carry on into Turkey and into my relationship with Alina in a healthy, natural, cosmic way.
Okay, in a healthy, natural, cosmic way. Again, I'm guessing he just orients his life around mystic ideas or supernatural ideas, or I don't know. Which is fine. There's zero wrong with that. But I just, again, if we just took out the we and said, if you just said I, and honestly, that's a big part of my problem with a lot of belief systems is, instead of saying, I believe this and it feels right to me, people will say, this is how it is. My God is real. Your God is not. My belief system is right. Yours is not. Instead of saying, this is what I believe. And most people don't believe this, but this is what I believe. I'm totally fine with that, as long as you're not harming other people with it. So, and, he seems like a nice enough person. I want to be clear. There is nothing wrong with what he did, on the scale of things on the show. But when people start talking about the subconscious and about like how it works, I get a little like, what's happening? But he seems like a delightful person. Who knows? Maybe he'll be a d-bag when we go forward. But thus far, he seems like a totally likable, non-problematic person. Absolutely.
Yeah, so he's gonna be coming with me.
What do you mean?
Well, the thing is that my mom, she's really worried about me. She's worried that I'm going to a foreign country, meeting you, like you're a guy from internet.
Okay, so the mom convinced her to bring her friend just to make sure that she has an ally, someone to help her, and makes total sense. Even without her being in a wheelchair a lot of the time, it would make total sense particularly for a woman to bring a chaperone the first time you meet someone online. Now, they have known each other online for 15 years. They're also on a reality TV show where there's a lot of producers around. Presumably, that could help if something goes wonky. But, yeah, it makes total sense. And I would hope that he's flexible to that and cool with that because, what's the big deal?
A good thing because I'm gonna meet Caleb for the first time in my life. So Elijah can show him how to help me with the wheelchair and stuff.
I want your family to feel comfortable about you seeing me, of course, but don't you think it's gonna be weird to have Elijah there? I'm going to meet you, like, who's this third person?
So I get where he's coming from as well. It's like, it's harder to be romantical, if you will, when someone's standing there watching the two of you. Now, I would assume that the friend Elijah will make himself scarce in important times, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I don't know, he seems to have a bit of a tone there with her. I would have hoped he would have been like, oh, okay, well, hopefully we can work with that. Let's see what he says.
Online, but I don't feel like it's the proper time or place for him to come when I'm meeting Alina for the first time of all places. I feel like it might give a weird vibe to the trip. Also, I think looking out for Alina should be my job, so I feel like Elijah's kind of stepping in where he's not needed.
I was a little aggressive there of, this other guy stepping in. I'm guessing that's not how Alina just told you she's doing this to appease her mom. Elijah wasn't saying, you better let me go with you. So that's a bit of a weird perspective and kind of a toxic masculine thing. I don't know. But on the other hand, it makes sense that when I don't think I've ever talked about this before, that when you meet someone and you're dating them in the beginning, chemistry is a big deal. And sometimes I think, and some people say like, well, it's either meant to be or it's not. But I don't know if that's true. I think for some people, they meet, and if something's a little off that's going on, they could have had chemistry, but they are prevented from having chemistry because of some circumstance that happened around them. And so it's possible that for Caleb and Alina, that they will have chemistry when they meet in person. But with Elijah there, it'll be enough of a aggravant that it will prevent them from realizing their chemistry. And then after a while, they're like, oh, we have no chemistry, when in reality, it was something from the outside that was preventing them. And when you're dating in the beginning, it's something that you want to think about. Like for some people, I'll hear that they'll say, well, we meet up for coffee. And, and certainly chemistry can happen over coffee, but not always. There are certain venues that are more conducive to building chemistry. And whether that's dinner, candlelit dinner, or I don't know, like imagine you go on a walk and it's in the wintertime and you're blowing your nose the whole time and you dressed up in huge warm clothing. It might, not always, for sure, that could be the very thing that would help to facilitate chemistry, but it is something that you have to be a little strategic about, I think. And so from him saying like, what if he interferes with that chemistry? That's okay. But it sounds like it's kind of a done deal. And I'm not enthusiastic about his attitude. It's not terrible, but I would have liked to have seen him be like, oh, okay, well, instead of Elijah's trying to, ruin this.
I'm a bit worried about the accessibility in Turkey.
You can walk, right?
I get tired very easily. I don't know, maybe if I walk for 5 minutes, I'll get tired. And
I'll just carry you. I'll put you over my shoulder and I'll walk you through the forest.
Yikes. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with having good intentions. I guess there's also nothing wrong with being completely ignorant of how that could come across to someone. Although you're dating someone who needs a wheelchair frequently, you'd think you'd look into this, but I'm guessing she's going to teach. And I don't know, maybe she'll be like, oh my God, that's so funny. I want you to carry me. I'm guessing she does not want him to carry her like she's a child or something. I don't know. I mean, not everyone's like this, but I'm guessing she's going to be like, no, I don't want you to carry me like I'm Yoda on the back of Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes. I don't know why that vision came to my head, but this sort of brash attitude of just like, I'm going to do it, instead of taking the time to be like, oh, okay, well, how could I help you? Is it wrong if I say da-da-da? So, and he seems to be, if the mom was worried, if the mom saw this, I would be even more worried, because the guy just seems like, he even said, he's like, well, you can walk, can't you? And it's like, well, why do you think I have a wheelchair? Yeah.
Ooh, so nice. Like princess. But, I mean, I know you never had an experience of dating a little person, and that's like probably my main concern.
Yeah, she was nice about it. She's like, oh, that's so nice. Like, I'm a prince. I'm guessing in her mind, she's like, no. But, she said, that's so nice that you're a manly man and you would sweep me off my feet and help me. But then she quickly followed it up with, so I'm a little concerned you've never dated a little person before. I think that's code for, you got to slow your roll a bit here and realize that you don't know what you're talking about. And you don't really know the common, preferences of little people. We don't want to be carried. We don't want to be treated like children. We don't want to be treated like a pet. We want to be treated like a like we are. We're an adult, and treat me like an adult. You wouldn't to your adult partner say like, "Ooh, I'm just going to carry you around and hold you and pet you." You know, you wouldn't. And he didn't do that, but it had that kind of element to it. So maybe he seems to be slowing down. So maybe he'll listen a little bit more.
So give me an idea though, like what type of stuff will you need help with?
Well, of course, I would need you to help me with my wheelchair, like to push me or to like get it out from somewhere. Or maybe there are like some steps and you have to like carry the wheelchair. And another thing is...
So good. He stopped. He said, well, what can I do? It was a very open-ended question. Really good.
It's one thing to just see my face and talk to me on a video, but it's another thing to push my wheelchair and help me down the stairs. I know that for people who never encountered it in their lives, it could be really overwhelming.
I think I know what I'm in for to some degree.
And I commend her and this show for maybe helping people understand what it's like for people like this. You know, and it's so sad, and you'll hear from people who are in a wheelchair or little people who will talk about how they have to educate everyone they come into contact with when and a big reason why we burden those with that is that we refuse to acknowledge that these people exist. We just don't have any kind of shows about them, or, you know, I guess we do sometimes, but not frequently. In public, sometimes everyone just kind of turns the other way. It's just like, oh, I don't want to draw attention to them. And, you know, we just have this really busted up attitude about various differences like this. And it just breaks my heart to think about her. She's just like, yeah, you know, I've got to tell everyone what it's like to be me and what they can do to help me. You know, it just breaks my heart.
You to worry about that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but at the same time, I think it's already too high up, my hopes, because our relationship is very valuable to me.
All right, well, I want to thank everyone who's liked any of my videos, including this one, or subscribed, or hit the bell, or commented below. It's really nice of you. I read the comments, and I do episodes reacting to the comments, which is interesting to kind of have that dialogue with y'all. And also, you can join the conversation on Discord and Reddit and Facebook and on Instagram. So, and as always, like what I say is be nice to each other. Don't, you know, give each other the benefit of the doubt. I'd like to think of our community as being non-toxic at the very least, and nice to each other at best. We can, you know, all work together to make the world a better place, including the internet. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.